The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everybody, welcome to the weekly Noyantis Usergroup meeting. Today is the 21st of September and John and myself are your hosts. As always, if anyone's got any queries or questions, ideas, solutions, feel free to raise your hand, we'll get the mics opened and we'll cover the topics accordingly. We've got a question in from Bill, so we'll come to that in a minute, but I want to just give an update on some template changes which have been basically in progress for a while and so on. Let me just grab the attendee list. Right, okay, I can see. Yeah, cool. Okay, so as you know, there's a few changes going on regarding ReportControl and DockingPane and command bar. So I promised we'd get some changes out. Now I know here I can see Steve is on here, and Bill, we'll come to you in a second with your question, but also I think there'll be of interest to you. Steve, I'm just going to open your mic if you're there. Put you on the spot. So the mic's open should you want to. Well, basically, yes, the pending updates which we've got to get out are the ReportControl, DockingPane, and then command bar, and in that order. The ReportControl and the DockingPane are going to go very closely hand in hand. The ReportControl 4.17 has actually just been released. I've not made any announcement yet, but it is available. So if you check your account and so on, it is there for the download link, and I'll cover what's in that in a second. I wanted to get the DockingPane released at the same time, but you'll see the release time, it was literally just before this webinar. I've got to literally remove some comments and an open and close of a pane, which I know of, and then I can get the DockingPane released. So, Steve, you do have my promise here that it might not be after this webinar because depending on how long we go, it's coming towards the close of day here today, but by the morning I will have released UK time, that is, as well, by the way. By the morning, I will have released the DockingPane update, which I know you're desperately to get your hands on. And if you're using the ReportControl, I would obviously recommend you grab that at the same time. So basically those two, which I've been promising for ages, 4.17 of the ReportControl is released. 4.18 is going to be in quick succession, actually, but it's actually going to include some other changes, all for the good, of course. But you will require 4.17 when the ReportControl is being used in docked panes and stuff like that. Hence these new changes and so on. So that's that. So yes, basically progress at last, which is what I wanted to give everybody and promise them. So I'm going to quickly show what's in this 4.17, and then John, I know in past webinars you've done some changes. We've done some changes on here regarding loading speeds and so on, and I did some changes in this. I want to ensure that I've got all of your changes because I know you went off and did some privately. So can we just quickly check yours against mine, if that's okay?
Yep, that's okay.
Oh, and Steve has just said he's got his mic open. 2 seconds. So, Steve, you're coming up as a connected by phone, but
yeah, connected by phone.
Yeah. Well, basically, it was. I just wanted to really, we always speak and so on, but I wanted to make you the promise that you will get it tomorrow. If I was sticking around tonight, it would go out tonight, but depending on the time of the webinar, and I do start really early. So I mean, I'll be in here for 6, 7 o'clock. It's early by my time anyway, in the morning, and I will finish off that the DockingPane release. So that version, which I do have on the other screen here, DockingPane 406, will be released tomorrow for you, so you'll be able to get that. I would get the ReportControl at the same time because you might as well, and so on, and then give that a run out and report back accordingly. But you should see some nice enhancements and stabilities and things like that.
Good.
Go. So apologies for the delay. It's not through the lack of trying, but work just keeps cropping up. But anyway, that's there now. So you will get it tomorrow at long last.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. Cool. And then obviously report back next week. Join us here. We'll have a quick review next week, and I'm constantly working on the things, so I'm not going to let the big changes build up quite in the same style. DockingPanes just had a load of work. ReportControl constantly always gets loads of work. Actually, it's one of the more popular ones. I'll demonstrate a particular change which has gone into this ReportControl now, and I'll demonstrate it will go into the DockingPane by the time you get it tomorrow. So I'll demonstrate that in a second. It's to do with the saving and restoring, which I'm not sure it's a feature you'll be using, but I'll demonstrate how it will work if you wanted to.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so John, I'm just going to mute you, Steve, but if you need us, just raise your hand. John,
Yes.
the class changes that you did, and it was all to do with the taking the data. Let me bring the class in. Taking the data from the group, if I remember rightly. Add defaults. Should be around there. So now it's. Do you remember this point? It was the add row default cells. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'm looking it up on my end. Add row default cells. Yep.
Okay, so it used to add it as a blank value. Where are we? Yeah, used to add it as a default value. Sorry, as a blank, and then set it like so. And one of the changes, but I wanted to confirm I was still happy with that particular change. I am. I did some checking and so on, and even updated the demo app by ways of testing. This demo app hasn't gone into the latest build, but it will do probably again, maybe even tomorrow. I'll rebuild the installer. But I wanted to check. I added a date field, so what you visually see, i.e., yeah, basically what you visually see and what you the sorting value are completely different. So if there was an issue there, that would let's add an 11, and I'm going to put it as something like I don't know, Chilcat. Okay, so yeah, they would go in that order, but the 11 goes there. So I know internally that is working from that particular change. I also changed it into an else if down here on the else. So basically, if we don't have a data picture to apply, so basically it doesn't need formatting, then I'm not going to override the caption. I'm going to leave it set at the actual value. Basically, it was doing that on an else before, whereas I only really need to do it if it's not got a leading 0. So if it does have a leading 0.
Right.
So that was an extra enhancement. So that'll take the setting of a caption away as well. But
Oh yeah. Okay.
I can't help think that I've missed something. I'm sure you had something different on yours.
I don't know. Hold on just a sec.
Okie dokie.
Because I think I need to change my Clarion version. Hold on.
Well, while you're just quickly looking that up, so I'll keep. Have you got it there?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just move this. So one of the other changes we've got in this 4.17, as I say, 4.17 is live. I've not made the announcement yet, but you can download it and get your hands on it. Sorry, I was looking through the wrong history here. 1 second. Wondering why I couldn't find the history. So in 4.17, obviously a couple of code drop releases have been done and they are supported. So 19.2 and 19.3. There's the load speed have been optimized a little further. So we are getting faster load speeds, which of course is nice. There's some new options, and it's to do with resetting. So let me just go to doesn't really matter. Jump to this one. But basically, where you've got your reset values, reset fields, you've got a couple of new options. You can reset on game focus and you can reset on game visibility. Slightly different because basically the game visibility is the equivalent of the oh crikey, what's the property in Clarion for the browse? Can't remember. There's a particular property which you can set, but basically imagine it's on a hidden tab or a non-selected tab and so on. Then you don't want it to load by default, and then when it does gain visibility, e.g. you switch to the tab, you can have it reset. Active invisible, that's a property within the Clarion browse. It's the equivalent of active invisible. So you can say reset on game visibility. So if it was on a second tab and you switch to that tab, it gains visibility and the report control will automatically reset the contents for you. So you don't have to do any work, which is nice. So you've got those two options, and the game focus is kind of obvious. That really emulates how a Clarion browse works within a legacy application. So if you was on a browse and you navigated to a different application and came back, then by default, legacy apps will reset the browse. So that's really emulating that, but that's off by default. We've got a couple of new methods, and they're related to the save and restore. So if I go into this, now previously in the save and restore, you would go to your options, and all this is backwards compatible, so don't worry, no code gets broken. But you would go to the save and restore, and you would say yes, you want to save. You say what variable you're going to save it in, and you want to include the grouping and sorting attributes, and also what you want to happen with any new columns when it detects them, and any removed columns when it detects them, and so on. And that still works, and then you would put your code in accordingly. So you would go to here, and these embed points are actually going to be renamed, but your code will move with them. So again, don't worry. But you would put your code in there to attempt to find some kind of layout, or insert a new record, prime, update that record, and I think that was really it. The update, the prime, the insert, and the fetch. And those embed points go in all the time for your save and restores. And you would have to include your own table and so on. What we've done now is, you can see here, where are we? That's that one. We've got a thing called built-in. In fact, there's some embed points left in this which are just not needed. So let me get rid of that. We don't need that. Or that. Or that. So you can see that makes it neater and easier. So basically now, what you've got at the local level, but also at a global level, you can go to your report control, go to your save and restore, but you say yes, but you can also use a built-in table. So basically, you don't have to worry about it. It will take care of it itself. The table is defined within the class, so you don't need it in your dictionary. It has its own key and so on and so forth. So your options here are save and restore, no. Yes, manual saving, which is the old, how you would have done your save and restoring. The new one, yes, built in. Or you can actually use a global setting, which for new report controls, the global setting is the default value. Because we're using the built-in, we don't need a save variable. We can still say yes and no to the include grouping, but again, we can also say use the global setting. And then again with these, we can say ignore the field, add the layout to add the new field, column to the layout, or use a global setting. So basically, what you might want to do is just say, use global, use global, use global, use global. and so on and so forth. For this, I'm actually going to just set them explicit and so on, but you could use the globals. See that in action, and just going to bring this particular folder in here. So that's the folder there. There's no table called RC layouts, and that's the actual name of the table. So I'll just keep that there so we can keep seeing it. I've got they're using the manual saving. This is now using the built-in saving. So I'll go into report control, and yep, we've got our columns, and we can say, let's switch maybe the from right to the start. We'll get rid of received, but we will include sent, and we'll put it straight away there. So from and sent. Come out, look at our folder. Oops. And now we've got a new table called RC layouts. Very nice. Go back in again. And our layout is just as we set it a second ago, which you kind of would have expected. Yeah, so that's that. If we look at that table, basically what it does is you can store against a username. It stores what procedure the actual report control is on. The report control instance, now that's not the FEQ at runtime. It's the actual active template instance. That ensures that you go changing the order of your screen and so on and so forth, that you don't lose your settings just because you happen to insert some extra fields in front of the tabbing order of the report control. You don't want to lose all the settings and so on and so forth. So it stores it via an internal template instance variable. And of course you have the layout. For people who don't use the record, the user ID, then obviously don't do. Just going to remove that table just to show. Go back in again, and we will be back to default, which of course we expect. So a bit of training on those. Go to our global. On the defaults, you've got a save and restore tab now, and these are the defaults. I'm going to get rid of that user ID because you saw that record was created for a user called AGW. In reality, that would be a variable. That would be something like glow user ID, or maybe if you're using Sequin, it could be your name of the function. So exclamation means, basically it's not a variable. Sequin, I don't know what the actual thing is, but basically the class dot get current. Oh no, it's I think it's already primed up for you. Something like current user dot user ID. You get the idea, but basically it can be a variable and so on and so forth. We'll leave it blank, and these are your defaults for the insert grouping and sorting. So the default now is going to default to built-in table, yes. No user ID, but that's where you would set your own user ID and so on and so forth. And that data table, the name is fixed. It's always going to look for that particular name, the RC layouts, but you can control where you want it to go. So by default, it will go in the current path. You can give it driver options if you need to, and of course you could encrypt it. Set an owner password. So I'll put, for example, ABC on there. So I got rid of the user ID, but I did give the table a password. Quick compile of that. We deleted the table a second ago. So on to here. Yep, that's our format. We'll move that to there, and maybe the size up there. That's great. Maybe even turn on some grouping by default. Will have it grouped by, has it been red? There you go, something like that. So you've got the red ones and the unread. Okay, go back in. Looks like, oh, that's not quite what I expected. Make sure that table weren't there. It does. Yeah, okay. I must have had the table there. I must have removed it. Sorry about that. But we'll have that and go there. Go back in. And it's there with the grouping as we expected and the from and so on. So that's there. There's our table. There it is. Yep, there's our table. Can't open it until we give it a password. Put our password in, ABC, and we can get to it. So that's the new Save Restore. So basically, you don't have to really, you don't have to worry about having your own table now and so on. The template can create it for you. And Steve, I'll just open the mic again there. Hopefully that made a bit of sense to you. The Save and Restore functionality for the docking pane is going to be exactly the same as that. So those global tabs will be there, and instead of straightforward yes and no for saving and restoring, you'll have the yes, no, and use default, and so on and so forth, that kind of thing.
All right, cool.
So, do you use the Save Restore? I don't know if you do or you don't.
No, I don't, but it's something I'll look into.
Well, should be relatively easy for you now, just a tick, so to speak. So yeah, so that kind of functionality, we've always, for the older users who's been with us for a long time, and I thank you for that. Yeah, we've always stayed away from doing people's data I/O, and then just it became apparent that people wanted us to start doing some stuff, so the report control started loading, and the calendar now does the loading for you. So it only makes sense where we need to save that we actually do some saving for you as well. So that same functionality will be going into the new command bars. Anything that where we can save any kind of layouts like report control, task panel, command bar, docking pane, anything that can save will have this option. So basically, they'll all be their own separate tables, but they'll be like RC layout, DP layout, CB layout, TP layout, and so on and so forth.
Yep, I'll take a look at it and give it a try.
Cool. Okie dokie. Okay, John, did you manage to? That's it for the 4.17. I know Leo's just joined us. So Leo, you missed the start. The 4.17 of the report control has just been released, but do not panic. I know you're after the drag and drop. You will have that. I'm in the office. In fact, get the microphone open. Leo, are you there? Your microphone open now.
Yeah.
Hi, Leo.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to get the update to today because I didn't want it to hold up the docking pane anymore. So I had to get that. But I was just saying I'm in the office early tomorrow. Drop me a Skype message, and in the morning we will actually connect up and finish that the drag and drop together.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, no, you've waited more than enough. I thank you for your patience. Leo, in fairness, he's got the patience of a saint. He's waited for such a long time for it. He's even offered to jump the queue and pay for the development and so on, which I do. That's a great offer and so on and so forth. But I didn't have genuinely didn't have the time to be able to allow you to jump the queue as much as I wanted to. So it's only fair that we didn't do that. But you still need the functionality, so that's what we'll get in tomorrow for you. So,
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm in nice and early. I do need to just do a couple of changes to the docking pane, which I've just promised. Drop me a message, and as soon as I finish that docking pane build, I will give you the thumbs up, and we will do 4.18 of the report control, which will be the docking pane different. The drag and drop functionality.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, John. Did you spot anything in your class?
I did not. I've changed computers and I'm not even seeing the changes that we made. But it was in the. I can always go back to the recording, which was
We can. Yeah. I'll. Do you know what?
When it was.
I put my comments on mine, so when I upload them to, I know they're on the Clarion Live YouTube, but they also go on the Noyantis YouTube channel. Actually, can I blatantly ask a favour of everyone here? John, you don't have this problem. If to be able to get your own YouTube like ID, let me just go to the YouTube channel. So we've got YouTube /channel/ and then just an ID really. But for us to have like YouTube channel Noyantis, you have to have a certain number of subscribers, even if you're not really interested, although you're here on a Monday, so you kind of are interested. Can I ask you to do a favor? Go to the Noyantis website, go to the YouTube link and just click subscribe, because we've got quite a few and we're not far off getting to the limit where we can request our own dedicated, /Noyantis. So could I ask a favor and ask everyone to do that, please, if that's okay? I take it when you created the Clarion Live when you already had the subscribers, so you didn't have the issue.
I guess, yeah, because it automatically had it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's something like you have to have 100 subscribers, and we're not at the 100
okay.
mark, which is crazy because user-wise, being some non-active and some have retired and some have moved away from Clarion and so on, but user-wise, there's a good 900, I think 900 plus now, 900 plus of you. So we should really be able to annihilate that 100 limit, that 100 request. But anyway, so that's one thing. So I'll go back. I put comments of late. I've done it for a while when on the YouTube Noyantis YouTube channel. So I've been putting comments on there. They're all batched into different months. So what we should be able to do is go into the playlist, and you get a playlist per month. It was while we was over in France, so I know it'll be in July. It'll be in one of those.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and there should be. Okay, yeah, I am signed in. Yeah, time functionality, load speed. There you go. Oh no, it's DockingPane. I'll have a look on them, but it's either it's July or August. I think it's August. We'll have a look actually, and I'll double check. But this we need to do some other speed tests and so on, but that should definitely speed it up. The default of that, but also that will make lots of fields don't have a data picture. So yeah, so if it's blank, which it will be, if the value is blank, then we do force it to be a null. So basically, it's just a little trick. So we force a null on there. ReportControl can have a funny if it doesn't have any data at all. So, but that was just straightforward else, and we don't need to, because if it's not numeric, if it's something like a string or a date or whatever, doesn't have a leading 0 in its picture, then we can. We don't need to do that line, and we know that setting attributes was actually one of the speed factors. So that should actually speed up a little thing for you a little more as well.
Excellent.
Okay, I do want to do the loading background, the trick that Alejandro mentioned a few weeks back, and I do want to get that to go in both into the calendar and to the ReportControl. ReportControl first, I'll be honest with you. I think that's a more prominent one. But you've seen the updates we've been doing and so on and so forth. But that little trick he does where he has the loading off on its own thread is quite a nice trick, and I do need it in a couple of my applications where some of the actual some of the report controls are getting large with a few thousand records in there. So so I will be doing that trick anyway, but I want to do it via the template. So basically the idea is on the loading, let's just go to something like that one. There'll be an option on the data load here for the view/file where when it's under our control, the loading, because I can't do it if it's under your control, what it will do is it'll have an option on here to say basically large record set loading background, and it will do the loading off on another thread, but all your embed code will still continue to trigger where they need to trigger. So a nice oh, Alejandro's just saying if we can say something. Yep, although we do need to jump on to the couple of questions we've got. But yeah, Alejandro.
Hello, Andy. How are you?
Yes, good. Yourself?
Very good, thanks. So I want to say that in the calendar process, when I load in background, I just to make something, I have to use the critical section, okay, to load many threads at the same time, because if you don't, in my case, of course, if you don't use the critical section, the variables change and at the same times in the different thread. Okay, so I need change my information. So I am using critical section for each thread. Okay.
Right. Okay. Okay. I'll bear that in mind. Thank you very much. Yeah. I mean, internally the classes do use their own critical sections when required. That usage is already in there quite a lot. But yeah, I will bear that in mind. So yeah, thanks for the heads up.
Okay. Okay. That's all.
No problem. Okay, so quick couple of questions, and then we'll move on to Bill, who's got a query on DockingPanes. So Mark, where are we? Microphone's open, Mark. If you are there, but is the wrapper template still in the works for PubNub? And in fact, it's for Friday's webinar, which is great. Actually, I enjoyed Friday's webinar. Actually, I don't know if anyone saw it. But it was me, but it wasn't Noyantis, as in we weren't covering any of our products. We were just covering tools that come in handy for us, like we mentioned Clubhouse and Toggle, time tracking and project management, and so on. Things that we couldn't live without, and especially in this day and age where working from home and that kind of thing, in your teams not in the office and broken up in different locations, and all of these really do come into their own. So that's a plug for last Friday's Clarion Live. Of course, the recording's on there, as we've just said. But yes, PubNub, it's definitely much still in the works. It's definitely much planned. There are a couple ahead of it. One is DocuSign. This is all to do with Chilcat. Sorry, so Mark's asking about PubNub, which somebody covered on Clarion Live a few months ago, and it looked really good. They're both some crazy speeds at sending messages and broadcasting messages to different devices and so on and so forth. The API didn't look too crazy. So we've got an account for them. So yes, Mark, there will be some new task classes, and as I say, they will be for obviously the Chilcat wrapper. One will be for PubNub. One will be for DocuSign, that's already on there. And what is the other one? Oh, it's Zoom. Yes, sorry, Microsoft, not Microsoft, because we were looking at the Teams, but I might just hang fire on that one. I don't want to bite too much off at once. Yeah, Zoom. So we can have Zoom meetings. And again, that's really required because in our calendar system, what we want to do, just to open, yep, not that one, that's the wrong app. I'll close that. Don't know about yourselves, it's just an idea, but I will be using the new Zoom task wrapper. Is basically on the likes of the calendar. What I want the person to be able to do, go to an appointment. Have I got any in there? Crikey, no. Just put one in. There you go. There's a book what we mentioned on Friday. We showed how to do that. But yes, basically when they're on there, I want them to be able to right click and we can say new form, which I don't think we'll have time to cover today, but these are questionnaires that people can do on the fly. I'll just give you a little taster. So basically people can change like patient registration, and they set up these forms. We don't set them up, the user sets them up, and then we can paint, which means that we could actually send that form to a property grid like we've got on the screen, but we could also do it to HTML or a PDF, so they can fill it in and electronically and capture their signature, things like that. So that's the kind of things we'll be putting into this, and you can see the different types. So we can see it's a date, and all this is configured. So maybe next week I'll show you how I actually accomplished this, and so on, that kind of thing. But yes, but we digress. What I want with the Zoom is so that the person, rather than just in here, can send a text message or make a phone call. I want them to be able to schedule or start a Zoom meeting. Again, we've got to be realistic in the times that we actually work in, and more importantly, the times our customers are working in, and so on. And they, the Zoom meetings are becoming the norm. So, so that's one of the task classes which will be going on to that, into the Shortcut wrapper and so on. So once it's done, I will be demonstrating it in here and how I did it. So, oh, okay. So Mark's just asking, he's looking for a video chat, and the Zoom meeting is really that. I do want to cover the Microsoft 365 at the same time, but again, one at a time. We've got quite a lot on. Okie dokie. Right, Bill. Thank you for your patience. I know Bill's probably got a couple more questions on the report control, the DockingPanes, so hence why we've just covered that. So, hi, Bill.
Hi, Andy. Thank you. I guess I'll start with one of the things I did with the docking pane was I set up a window with a pane, and then in that I had two panels, a browse and a form side by side. On the original screen, it has a close and a help button. So I wanted to put those two below the form and the browse. Can you show me how the best way to do it? I kind of figured a way to do it, but it really doesn't look
okay.
what I would consider proper.
Okay, can we see your screen? Is that okay?
Yeah. Where do I go to share here?
Okay, so an option should come up on your screen now,
Right.
asking you to be presenter. Okay, yeah.
Can you?
So you just,
Well,
yeah.
so here's my control here.
Okay,
And then
I see you've got those. Okay. And what have you got so far?
so what I did here was there's the browse panel and this is the form panel. What I did is I created a spacer panel and then I put the close and the help to the right of it.
Do you want to show it us visually, and then we can take a look? Yeah.
So here you could see the forms on the left, the browse on the left, the form on the right. This panel here is the spacer, and then here are the two buttons.
Okay. So are they in their own panes?
They're in their own panes. That's the only way I was able to figure how to do it. So that's why I'm asking you how would I be the better way to do it?
Well, basically, there is with the DockingPanes, there is like some rules to follow, so to speak. Now, the rules are if you use a fully docked DockingPane, and you would want to in this instance, and that's what we discussed last week, so that it will take over the contents of the screen. But the byproduct of that is that basically, yeah, the byproduct of that is everything on that screen, if you want it to be visible, really has to be in a pane. Now, a pane can only contain one item. It can be a whole window, which what you've got there. You've got your browse and your form. So it's using basically a pane. You assign its content via a handle. So if you can get to the handle of the item, then you can dock it. That's the golden rule. So you've got the handle, or the system gets the handle for you of the browse, puts it to the left, gets the handle of the form, puts it to the right. You've got this spacer. You have this. You've got an option in there in front of you called the client area, but right in front on this tab at the bottom. But I wouldn't. What you can do is you can retain part of the client area on the DockingPane, and you can put your own controls in there, and basically the DockingPane doesn't go into that client area. But taking control of that client area can be a little yeah, a little difficult. I might look into seeing if we can actually expand and control it a little more. But that's not going to help you today to get your answer. So having the panes which you've got was actually correct. Let's look at the definition of the current panes you've got. Start at the top if you
Which
will.
one?
So, well, let's start at the top. So we've got our browse, and the things I'm really interested in are the size and position. So now here's the thing. Now imagine, if you will, and we're going to change this, but it's not going to be in tomorrow's build. Imagine, if you will, your pane, your window, sorry, drawn and cut up to have to hold the different panes. Now, the docking pane allows each pane to have basically equivalent of like 2 settings. If the pane is floating, then it has a width and height, and they're measured in pixels. So if you allow for floating, then yeah, basically it's how many pixels they are when they're floating around. When they're docked, it becomes a percentage of the overall width or the overall height, and so on. So if you wanted that to be 50-50, what I usually recommend, do you allow your panes to be floated? It didn't look like you did.
I didn't know. I put them as docked right now, but
well,
because I really didn't know the difference and all that. So
okay. Well, on the options tab, you have got a checkbox on there to say if the thing can be floated, and you've turned that off. So you said, which without a title bar, you wouldn't be able to float it unless you did it via code yourself. So I think from the UI you was painting a minute ago, that's good. So let's imagine what we really need to do in the future. If you go back to the size and position, I've tried to be smart, and it has bitten me, I'll be honest. What I've tried to do is tie in this floating size. So this let's take the width, for example. I've tried to tie in the floating size with also the percentage. So the way I've always done it is, okay, imagine the overall width is 1000. If I want it to be 50-50, it would be 500 and 500, that kind of approach. Those settings will be split in the future, and you will have a floating width and a floating height, and a docked width and a docked height. And the docked will be the percentage, and the floating will be the pixels and so on. But just working with what you've got there now, if you change that width to, let's say, 500, and change the height to 90. Sorry, not 90. Let's say 850. So imagine that says 50% and 85%. That's fine to the left. Okay, that. Let's look at our related. Okay, let's do that with 500 and 850. And we'll have that right, but I would also, the neighboring pane, I would type in browse because it's to the right of the browse. It's capital B. Okay, we like that. So you've got a oh, hang on.
Yeah. Sorry.
We've got a spacer. So I see where you're going with the spacer. You want it to be, just that. The width, that width is probably 700. That's good, and the height 150 to the bottom. Okay. The close button. Now we said 750. Was it 750? Yeah. So that wants to be 125 then, if that's what you're thinking for that. Height 150, and to the right of spacer. So I see where you're going with that. And then last but not least, same with that one. 125. Sorry, yeah, 125, 150, right of close. Now what we've got there is that 150 and the 850 from earlier gives you the full 1000, which if we think of that as 100%, then basically you split it to 85% for the browse/form and 15% for the spacer / your buttons at the bottom. The reason the percentage is, if that application did resize, those panes would resize to the same percentages. So one of the things you had was you only had I know it was only set to 50 there, but you only had the height of the original height as 500. So it was seeing it disproportionately, if you will. Right.
Okay.
So the 750 might be a bit giddy. Sorry, the 850, you might want to.
No, but I understand what you're saying there, and I see that. So I could definitely play with that. But this is basically the only way to do it is to set them up as into panes, right? And then control the width and with the percentages.
It is, yeah. But if you resize that application now, you'll see that hopefully then percentages are still retained. So if you resize that window, if you will, or the overall app.
Oh, you mean like this?
Yeah, and you'll see your have you got a resize template on the window, on the host window?
No, I don't think I do yet. This is just a test app I've been playing with the DockingPanes, so trying to learn it. So
if you quickly put a Clarion resizer, just set them to resize on that window, then you'll see the window will resize when the app resizes, which means the OLE container where the ActiveX will resize and it will reapply the percentages correctly.
Okay. All right, good. The last question I have relating to this section was on this particular window, I created a group and put the two buttons in the group, and I tried to position just the group so that I wouldn't have to separate the buttons into their each panel. But that didn't work. It only moved the group, but it didn't move the buttons with the group.
Yeah, it wouldn't. It would be really nice. Other languages where I've looked, they have like a VB. I think it's VB has what they call a picture control, a bit like our sheet and our tab, if you will, that kind of thing. Well, no, but probably a bit like the group. And the idea is, you. Remember, it belongs, one pane can only have one handle, that kind of thing. You grab the handle of that picture control, and you basically, or the group, and that gets docked, which means its children get docked along with it, and so on and so forth. That is the exact approach I wanted to carry forward with Clarion and so on. The trouble is, the Clarion runtime doesn't go along with that. So yes, I can grab the handle of a sheet, or I can grab the handle of a tab, or I can grab the handle of the group, and it will get docked. But the trouble is, its children don't. So its children then really go into limbo, and you can't see them. Whereas I know with VB, the reason I mentioned the other is with VB, you have this. I'm sure it's called a picture control. You put the items belonging to that picture control. And then you grab the handle of the picture control, and hey presto, you get exactly the kind of effect that we want to achieve, but we don't get it on this, unfortunately. So it's not. It's one of the very early things we tried, but it just didn't work.
All right, so I think that answers one of my other question was I went and took the browse itself, and then I added to it the docking pane control, trying to achieve the same result as I did here. And when I do that, I get this, which this is the sheet, like you're saying. Yeah. And I couldn't get this to disappear without hiding the sheet. But then if I hide the sheet, I lose my tabs. So
yeah, you're not seeing the actual content. Yeah, no, and that's right. Just as I explained, it's a real shame, because the potential would have been phenomenal, from an end user UI point of view. Could have kept the power of Clarion with its sheets and its tabs and its groups and the things we're used to, but also then had the power of the DockingPanes with it. But it wasn't to be.
Yeah. Okay. So the only way to achieve what I want to achieve is the way I did it here, with a separate window and putting each window as a control into a panel.
Yes, I'm just trying to think. could we achieve? So I take it, if you quickly go back to the screen design of your browse, you've got the sheet. So you're using the tabs to change the order, obviously. Yeah, key ID and last name.
This is just the people example I took as a starting point, just to play with.
Is that the typical? Do you normally use the tabs to change the sort order in your applications?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Because we've got to. You don't want to do too big a change because you could sit and scare the user, that kind of thing. Just wondering though. God, I've never tried it. I'll take a look. I'll get the updates out first. But what we could do is we could have a pane at the top, which doesn't include a Clarion sheet because you get the handle of the sheet, but you don't get the handle of the tabs. So as you've just seen a second ago, the tabs are gone. But
right.
CodeJock itself does have a suite controls, which is a collection of, you've got the calendar is dedicated calendar and the report control is the report control and so on and so forth. But then they do have one of the, if you've got the full, I'm not sure what you've got. Have you got the full suite or is it just certain parts?
No, the full suite, yes.
Okay,
we didn't get into, we want to start using the report controls. That's our next step.
So what you see with the report control, you could just put the report control there and use the column headings to to do your thing. But that is quite a shift for your end user. Depends on if you want to try and phase this in gradually or you want to hit them all at one go, so to speak, with the changes. But
we'll try that actually. I don't mind doing that.
Well, the report control, as you've seen in ours, I'll switch back to ours in a second and show the schedule, which we always use. But that can be hosted in the docking pane perfectly well, and so on. The data sets, are they large data sets? Are they thousands of records, hundreds of thousands of records?
I will play with that then. That might be the solution here. Switch this out to that and then try that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only alternative I was thinking there is what we could do is, but it's again, you've got to watch how much work you want to put into all this to keep the UI as your users are used to. So the tabs switching the sort order. What you could do is have your browse still on the screen. Put it into a pane of the docking pane. Have another pane above that, a bit like you had your spacer before, but have a pane above. In that pane, use the suite controls sheet control. Now they have basically a tabbed sheet control. We could put that into the pane above the Clarion browse. Have your two tabs in there in the sheet, and when the user switches the tab, you just echo that to basically the Clarion, if you will, to say switch the sort order. So you could keep the UI, but you're starting to. We want to try and make these things as easy for you to use, and all of a sudden you're getting your hands dirty in quite a lot of work to try and keep it looking limited. I don't know. I'd look at the pros and cons of both personally. We have got to keep the users happy, of course, but if you could get user feedback where they don't mind, having that grouping and the power of the report control, then that would be your easiest, your fastest, and from a UI point of view, the best option. But it's also the biggest dramatic change for the user. So that's really a business type decision for yourself there. Personally, from a technical point of view, it's a no-brainer. But you've got to, I do appreciate you've got to take the users' cultural changes into account as well.
Okay, thank you. That's good on that one. My last question is, last week you showed me how to manipulate these screens so that as you click here, it updates the form. I wasn't able to get what you told me working last week. I worked my own code to do it, but I'd really like to explore yours option. The problem I had was I couldn't get the send notify to parent send notify to child window.
Do you want me to reshow? I'll reshow mine and take you back through it again. That's no problem.
So here it was, if I go to this and I see here, I just have send notify to parent thread. I don't have send notify to child window.
What version of the doc? It's been there for a while. What version of the docking pane do you have? If you just look at the template interface, does it show us? 405. That's not a new one coming to 406, is it? We've now got broadcast, but I thought that had been around for a while.
So I wasn't sure if I was doing something wrong or.
No, yeah, it should be. 406 includes some broadcast methods. So broadcast event to child windows, broadcast notify to child windows. But no, the send notify has been around for a while. Yeah, that's why Clarion's auto accept isn't there. Did you just try typing it in rather than the auto accept?
Yeah, I did type it in and the compiler would just error out on me.
Right, okay. Tell you what, I'm just going to quickly check. So, so the method which we're using was something like send notify, correct, to child window.
Correct. Send notify to child window. You have it in your.
And you're on 405. That's no problem. I'm just going to quickly check the source of 405 to see if it was in there. That open? Yeah, it is. No, it's not. Send notify. Yeah, it was part of the thing. Send notify to child window 405. I thought it was because it's been in there for quite a while. So there's no reason why that shouldn't. It wouldn't be that class you're using though. It would be. You wouldn't be doing it at that level. You'd be doing it. Yeah, not that class. Yeah, go back a level. So go to your host window. It's in there. Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, you're using the. If you go to the other class, you've got two classes on this one on the host window. You go to the extensions.
I don't think I have any in here. I don't think I have any here.
Okay. Right, cancel that then.
This is the host window here. So
yeah, okay. So there's your class. So go on to that one. So you've got two. That's the one you want. That's your docked. What's the class name of that? Oh no! If you just go to the last tab. Sorry, Bill. No, not that one. No, if you cancel that, go back to the other. The one at the bottom. Yep, go to that one.
I'm sorry.
And go to the last tab. Okay, that's the class name docking pane 2.
That's the class there.
Yeah, that's the parent docking pane. So one of the child panes of that is your browse. One of the child panes of that is your form. You have so basically it's that the send notify to child window would be
in this one.
Would be
here.
Yeah, so you'd have to send the notify to that, and it would have to pass it on. The only thing I'm just wondering whether I could help you out on there. So just let me close 405. I don't want to change that code. So I'm just going to send.
Well, it's all right. Then I'll probably leave it the way I did it. I just passed the messages using the thread ID between the windows, which probably is what yours did.
Yeah, basically,
I just took this thread ID and Well, the panels communicated with the thread ID of the parent.
Well, do you know, even if direct from the browse, if you've got the let's see if we can help you out on that one. Just 1 second. We want the other child there. Okay, so you're on the browse here. Okay, you're on the browse. Let's go to your code. So this is a child.
This is the parent window. What did you want me to do?
Oh, that's a parent window. Sorry, right, okay. Okay. So when you click on a browse, you want to send the notify across to the form, correct? To the related. Okay, so let's go on to that.
Go to the browse.
Yep. Okay, so when you select a record, you've got whatever code you've got. So in there, let's let's grab that. DockingPane. Window Manager. DockingPane, is that your? Yeah, it will be that. Sorry, can you just cancel that for me? Just want to get the class name. So if you just go to cancel that and go to extensions. Okay, so that is the content management. Yep, that class name there. Yep. Okay, so that dot and send notify to parent thread.
I don't think send notify is on this. It's on the.
It should be. Yeah, it should be. Just let me check again on 405. Yeah, it's there. It's your autocomplete not filling it in, but it is there. So send notify to parent thread.
And do I have to put anything in here?
Okay, yeah. Now open parentheses. You want the procedure name.
This procedure name?
No, the parent thread. Okay. Comma and the code that you want to pass. So do you have a notify code? No, that's the ID. That's going to be the parameter. Notify work by passing notification codes. So you could call it anything you like. I set up some of my own equates usually, so something like update child or so you really, a bit like it's just an equate, but it's just a code that you want to pass across to it.
Yeah, we'll just pass that for now.
It's numeric. The codes are
Numeric?
all, yeah. So maybe send it to okay. Let me have a look at the type of codes I would send just to put you in the right ballpark, if you will. Yeah, use something like just trying to see the help on use 49,001, something like that.
40,000, what was it?
49,001, so 49001. Okay, then your last one is what parameter you wanted to pass across, so it would be your PEO ID. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's going to send a notification up to the parent. Okay, so let's save that. And let's go to the parent screen, the whole screen. into the embeds, and there's one in there for the take notify. So yeah, that one, take notify. Okay, so this is going to get that code coming in. So you want a like a case statement, if you will. Case space param. Just start typing PAR AM param notify code. Yep. Okay. So of 49,001. This is why I would use equates and so on, but you get the idea. So of no, was it 49,001? 49001. Yep. So that's our notification that a record's been selected in our browse. So you want to do self dot, and I'm just going to get what that notify is. 1 second. No, it's not the broadcast, it's a send. So self dot send notify to child window. Open parentheses, and it's the name of the procedure.
I think it's this, but we could check it.
Okay.
I'm following you though.
Yep. So now you want another code. So I would have something like 49,002. Oh no, you could use 49,001. Yeah, that's fine. Comma, and the code, which would be param parameter. So basically what you've got there, so yeah, end that. So that's received the 49,001, and it's going to pass it straight on to the child.
And then I got to put see.
You want something very similar to that. Yeah, so copy that.
Yeah.
And in the update, was it update? We've got to make sure we've got update people.
Actually, I got to change that.
Yeah, so you will have to change that to.
I have to change it to related, yeah, because I think
you'd have a take notify.
That goes.
Okay, yeah. So you've got your thing, so you can see it's there. So, and that would be your local ID, do refresh child list, that kind of thing.
Yeah. All right. I follow you now. I got almost all of it working in there, but I couldn't get that send notify to parent, and I realize now that it's in that parent one, so I got to put it to there and then transfer it from there back down to the update form. I understand. Yeah. I'm good. We don't have to go through it. I'll clean up those. I understand.
Yeah, you got the principle bouncing the message on. That's good.
Yep, I am very good. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate it. I think I took enough of your time already.
Oh, don't worry about that. That's the whole point of the user group webinar. And others will want to, do things like this. So no, that's good. That's what we're here for. Okay. Well,
thank you.
No problem. No problem at all. So now I think we're more or less there, which is great. Yeah, all questions are done. We shall wrap it up. So 4.17 of the report control is available immediately. I haven't done the announcement, but you guys have just been told it's there. So you can download and apply, and that includes the new saving and restoring, plus some optimizations. DockingPanes will be tomorrow. That'll be 406 if I'm correct in that. And that will have the save and restore as well. Plus, of course, it's quite a dramatic change from the 405 and so on. And then you will see another report control come out, and that is really for Leo, where I promise the drag and drop. The report control itself does include drag and drop functionality, but it's very much drag and drop to another report control, and we're not going to implement it in that style. We're going to implement it in a style where it's compatible with Clarion, if you will, and Clarion controls. So technically, you'd be able to grab a few records out of ReportControl and drop them on a text pad, or drop them in a. Could be that you can drop them into a calendar. Won't be tomorrow, but from the approach and from the coding point of view, you could work that way. A future webinar where we might actually show how to do it into a calendar. But the point being is, it'll be introduced and implemented in a way which is very similar to, which is the usual Clarion way, with the drop ID and the drop ID and things like that. So yes, basically that'll be the 4.18, which will follow very shortly. And with that, we shall start wrapping it up. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for those who I've just had some notification through that we've got some more subscribers. That's great. Get the numbers up. I can change the URL, which will be much better. So yes, basically, for those who missed it, if you could go to our website, click on the YouTube link and subscribe to the YouTube channel, we can try and get our numbers up so we can then grab a dedicated URL off YouTube. So it'd be much appreciated. Okay, until next week. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you then. Bye.